From New York, it's That Kevin Show.
See, I knew it.
Come on, Kev. What's a few classified documents between friends?
I told you all the time. I knew it. I knew he had some too.
Here he is, That Kevin McCullough.
And my next guest is the frontrunner for the GOP Senate nomination in the Garden State. And since it's an election year, we're going to start talking about electoral races much more so. You know that about every 2 and 4 years, Kevin McCullough gets, somewhat political in the coverage that I cover. And I'm very, very pleased to welcome my next guest because she's a former mayor. She is someone who has worked in the private sector, and now she wants to be a part of the body, the most deliberative legislative body on planet Earth, the U.S. Senate, trying to take the place of Mr. Menendez, who will most likely not be returning to the U.S. Senate in 2024. Her name is Christine Serrano Glasner, and she joins us. Hello, Christine.
Hello, Kevin. How are you?
It's
One minor little correction. I'm still a mayor.
Oh, sorry. Don't want to take the day job away.
Well, I didn't want people to worry.
Yeah. And you know what? It's important that people understand that, because when sometimes, particularly in states where Republicans have not fared well, the thought is, well, they run a lot of just private citizens that sometimes don't mount very serious efforts, and then they end up not really knowing what they're doing in the public sector, trying to run up against a machine like the New Jersey Democrats. And so it is important for people to know that you're in elective office, you've been successful as a mayor, you are doing what you have pledged to do, but now you have an opportunity to represent the entire state. And for those of you listening that, are not political junkies, the reason that the Senate seat is so much more important is that the House of Representatives was designed to represent the individual citizens of a region. That's why the districts are small. That's why they have to get out and campaign and go door to door, etc. The Senate is a deliberative body that gives an equal voice for each of the states that are represented in the United States Senate. So the power of a U.S. senator to speak more broadly for all of its citizens in its state is maximized. But then there's also an impact that Senate seat has on all of the rest of the 50 states. And so, Christine, understanding that job changes a lot, as a mayor, you're a CEO, you kind of have things that you have to get done on budget, on time for this municipality to proceed. The Senate is a very different animal. What attracted you to this position?
Well, it's important for New Jersey. I think it's also important for people to know that I have a greater background in government. I was a senior vice president in economic development for New York State, and then I was regional advocate for the Small Business Administration. I dealt with a lot of regulatory and policy issues. So I have that background. I understand the Senate. I even worked down in Washington for a short stint. It's critical that we return integrity more than anything back to this seat, because that's what we've lost. And I believe people have lost their faith in public service. I'd say to people all of the time, people need to understand this is a job. People have elevated the U.S. Senate to being celebrityism, to being a place of a power center, to being a place where people go and make a lot of money. Wrong. This is a job, and our job is to serve the public. It's public service, not self-service. And that is what it's become. Under Bob Menendez, it's become complete and total self-service, and we need to return it back to what it is, take the power away from that position, and return it to the people. This job as a U.S. Senator should be coming and speaking to people in this state on a regular basis and understanding exactly what people are going through, what families are challenged with, what seniors are challenged with. I think one of the things that we've seen in a state like New Jersey is you raise children here, and then they go to college, and then they can't get jobs here, or they can't afford to live here, or they can't afford to buy a home. We need to fix that, and we need to fix it at the national level for everybody so that young people can return to their home states, can return to a wonderful state like New Jersey. And that's my goal. That's why I'm running. And I have the experience, but more importantly, I have the energy, and I have the work ethic, and I have the reputation for delivery. And this is why I want to do this for New Jersey, for the people.
I've said for a long time, and people that have listened to me know this, that senators tend to make very poor candidates for president. And senators that become president end up kind of not really doing very well legislatively and kind of agenda wise, because the job of a CEO, which is what a governor or a mayor or a president is very different than the senator's job, which is deliberating, passing legislation, building coalitions, that sort of thing. I've always thought in reverse that former CEOs make great senators. You've been in the private sector, you've been in the public sector, you're now a CEO of a municipality. Talk to me about how your executive experience parlays into representing your state.
Well, more importantly than anything is when you're an executive, when you're a leader, communication is key on all levels. You need to be able to communicate your message concretely so that people understand it, but you need to be able to listen. And you need to be able to merge those two things. And that is my area of expertise, frankly, is really listening to people, listening to what they need, listening to what they want, but making sure that our plans are based on need. It's the same thing in the US Senate. And it's really where the Senate needs to return, is to making sure that we're providing for people what they need for a future. My biggest concern with this Biden administration is there's no plan. You see the economy right now. They've had a plan for green energy and climate. They've had a plan for DEI, but nothing else. No plan for the economy, certainly no plan for the border. We see that every single day, record-breaking numbers coming over in December, 300,000 people. We don't even have a stadium in New Jersey that holds 300,000 people. I don't know any stadium that does. There's a stadium in Texas that holds 80,000 people. So can you imagine the number of folks that have come in and the need for taxpayers to have to support these people now? They have to be fully supported. There's a point in time when something like the border or the economy or crime that's completely out of control in every city and in many states, and it's getting worse, has to be reeled in. And that starts at a policy basis with the Senate, with the House, but most certainly with the Senate.
Yeah.
And they need to step up and take greater leadership roles. I think sometimes they get caught up too much in the minutia, and they need to think as leaders and think about what people need for the long term. That's my goal. That's my goal is to return that to the Senate.
In such a closely divided Senate, flipping a seat from the Democrats to the Republicans would give a great deal of emphasis for your voters to come out and to support you and understand that the agenda has the potential to literally be your race that makes the difference for control of the body. Let me go back to something you said, though, and then we'll take a break if you don't have time to fully answer it before we take that first break. But you said that the job in the way people have represented it, particularly Bob Menendez, has it's morphed into more of a power play, more of a personal aggrandizement, if you will. When we come back, let's talk about the defining difference between you and them when we continue. It's Christine Serrano-Glasner. She's running for the GOP nomination for the U.S. Senate seat in New Jersey. Very happy to have her with us.
Ready or not, he'll be right back. That Kevin.